All right, and let's start with questions. Who would like to ask some questions? We can talk about that first. Any general questions anybody wants to ask? Any questions? Actually, okay. To the portal, okay. For classes, really? Okay. So if you have any challenges, you know what? Send me an email tonight. Make sure you send it to me tonight. I'll forward it to our offices and let them make sure somebody gets back to you. Okay. Which the documents are the same as last week. Yeah. Those are just to get you started. The tasks for the week are the same document. Can we have a purchase contract with an agreement for sale clause? I will talk about the clauses, the offer to purchase contract agreement. I want you to use the one for your province. Okay, does everybody understand that? So we can talk about the clauses. We can discuss the clauses. The clauses have to be for that province. I always want you to use that, and I also want to make sure that you review the document with the lawyer. Okay, give me 1 second. All right, hold on. All right, I had a question about screening, rent to own leads. When finding tenant buyers, I'm finding a lot of them are a lot that are in the proposal. Do we only take them when the proposal is done, or will we be able to qualify them if they still have a year left in their proposal? Oh, you mean a debt proposal, right? Okay, so no, you could still take them, Justin. You could still use them. You just want to make sure that your mortgage broker has a chance to review their file, their situation, and make sure that they can, the time that it's going to take for them to qualify. So it might take them an extra year. It might be not 2 years, it might be 3, it might not 3 to 4. So really the big thing that you want is someone that has the income and the non-refundable option consideration deposit portion of it is the most important thing, and that the contract is written well. Someone mentioned last week about some changes in their province. You always want to make sure that the contract is, does what it's supposed to do. So you want to make sure that both sides are protected. You should also always advise people that you do business with to seek legal advice. Always. So Justin, to your question, yeah, you can still use them. Just run them through your mortgage broker that you're working with, and make sure they give you enough information, tell you basically when they can qualify and what they can qualify for at the end of the term. Okay. All right. So no new homework this week. No, Danny, just keep. All I want you to do is keep running properties. That's your homework. Keep running properties. Go to your classes. Watch your on-demand. That's what we want to do. Getting messages being experienced technical difficulties potentially resulting from missing information on your portal. We've identified the issue. We are working quickly to resolve it. Please bear in mind whilst we're just only working to resolve the issue. We sincerely apologize for the inconvenience when logging into the portal. Is that happening? When did you see that, Wayne? Is that something that you just saw past few days? Oh, maybe there's an issue. I didn't know. I didn't get an email about it. Yes, I saw the message since last week. Okay, so let me look into it. I'll find out what's going on, and I'll find out a resolution, a workaround if you're trying to register for courses. Okay. Hold on. I came across a development in great area. Don't know how to approach it. Taraz, what do you mean you've come across? Yes, Wayne, we have the same message. Oh, okay. What about the development? Toronto, how do you get financing from a bank? Hard money lending. Okay, well, slow down. Let's slow down. Okay, so let's. I don't want to miss any of these questions. So the last question I'm dealing with right now is, Taraz, I came across a development in a great area. Don't know how to approach it. What do you mean by that, Taraz? let's see, prime area by university, but I'm skeptical pre-build buying. So with the pre-build, obviously if you're doing a pre-build, there's a risk involved. The risk is due to time. When are they going to finish the project, and what's it going to be valued at? You're not talking about an existing property, so the market could shift or change for you, Traz. Absolutely. The other thing is, if you're looking at those types of properties or opportunities, I would definitely want just an added, an ability to assign the agreement before the build is complete to give you an exit. So that'd be the biggest thing. I'd want to make sure that there was an exit. There is a risk though, Traz, with because it's a future event, right? We don't know. We don't know what the market's going to do, in the coming year, and really with all the changes they're making, interest rates went up again. There should be a flattening or curbing for some markets, which is going to be great for us. But I mean, with housing developments, apartment developments, I honestly don't know what the prices are going to be, in the future. I don't really like banking on more than 6% in any one market. If you get higher than that, great. But it's I was recently in Ottawa, and Ottawa's, they're between 3 and 4%. So they're a market that's pretty stable. It doesn't, it's not going to shoot up very high. It's had its years, but it's not going to shoot up very high. But it's not going to get crushed either. So very similar to my market. So there's appreciation is a finicky kind of metric. You don't really want to depend on it too much. So it's very difficult for someone to assess or estimate the value of something in the future. I'm not a fan of it myself, Traz, but I mean, at least at the bare minimum, I'd want an exit via an assignment clause, just in case I had to get out of the deal. Okay, how do we get financing from a bank or hard money lender when purchasing property with a corporation? Won't the lenders for the mortgage view the corporation with no credit history risk? Yes, absolutely. That's absolutely right. So in the beginning, you're definitely 100% going to be signing for those mortgages in your name, or your partner's name, or whatever. What you can do is over the next 2 years, you'll develop a history, 2 to 3 years, and then they'll be able to run loans. If they show profitability, your corporation shows profitability, they'll be able to run loans directly from it. Most banks, they're looking for a history. The real risk is the house, not the loan. Well, the loan is a risk, obviously, but the real control or risk you're trying to avoid is the property initially, at least, and something going wrong with the property where it can't be attached, set up properly through corporations. Okay, obviously you want to seek professional advice, and make sure that you're specific on what you're trying to do and how you're trying to do. You go and make sure that you're protected. Okay, I'm wondering how you can come up with a number to offer to your calls on the weekends. Should we continue to call potential buyers? If so, what are we trying to achieve? Okay, so yes, absolutely, you can make those for rent calls or for sale by owner. The main thing is you're trying to see if you can get a discount off the price. Really, the numbers are going to determine the value and the opportunity that you're dealing with. You got to remember, and this is important, that good deals, most good deals are going to be created. They're not going to be found. So this is where the creative financing comes in, and understanding creative financing and what we can do. So I think that absolutely any activity is good activity. Running numbers, you want to be efficient with it, and as you run those numbers, you can quickly find out if the property has potential or not. So the activity of looking through those properties, and we're going to say no to a lot of them. I want everyone knows that. We're going to say no to a lot of them, I hope. You understand that? We don't want to be hasty. We want to make sure that we're protected, and that's really, really important for us to do that. So yeah, continue to do them, run the numbers. That's the most important thing for everybody, is to run the numbers to determine the value. But even a discounted price, if you come across a property that's discounted but doesn't cash flow, what can we do with that property? Well, what can we do with that property? We can wholesale that property, or we can wholesale that property. That's the main advantage and thing that we can do with wholesale, where it's just a discounted price. Okay. Okay, so give me 1 second here. Okay, so Hi Sam, so we are selling our house today, first day, reviewing someone offered, but I would like to wait for days because we have more viewings coming up. My realtors seem to be pushy and would like to take this deal. He said buyer's aggressive from divorce, mother likes it and would like kids to stay on the same school. They have been looking in the area for a long time. Any thoughts? My realtor wanted to accept it now, but I would like to wait 4 days. Yeah, you can wait. Of course you can wait. Absolutely you can wait. So yeah, tell them, yep. The fact she's basically, or he's basically, your realtor is supporting the idea that you can wait because this person really wants your property, and let him know that, just be honest with them and say, look, there's a couple other people that are looking at the property. I'll let you know by the end of the week or Monday. You know, we just want some other people to look at the property, and we'll more than happy to get back on you. That's fine. Don't let these people push you around. You know, let them know you would like to wait. You appreciate their feedback. You know, you got to remember, this is the challenge or dilemma with realtors, with conflict of interest they have, is that they don't get paid until the sale is closed. So sometimes there's added pressure sometimes to move forward and close a deal. Now, you know, obviously they're responsible to you to make sure that the deal is done properly and legally, and to get you, retail price. So retail price really is up in the air. So if you feel like there might be more to it, then wait. You're absolutely able to do that. Obviously, the risk is that the person doesn't buy the house and they go somewhere else. That's always a risk. So if they put an offer towards you, then you can let them know that you'll get back to them by a certain amount of time for that offer. It doesn't have to be 24 hours. They love doing the 24 hours. This offer is good for 24 hours. You're not required to, stick to that 24 hours. You can ask them for, well, we need to think about it, or someone else is looking at the property. You can do whatever you want. It's your house. You don't have to do anything, that you don't want to do. Okay? All right. Can we attend more than one course? I am signed up for creative financing, but would be able to attend more. Yeah, Dave, you can. You can just talk to Jerry. He'll add more courses for you if you want, or you can send me an email if you want, Dave, and I'll forward it to him in our office and let them know to follow up with you. Just send it to me and I can forward it to him. Toronto, can we have a different person hold title of a property than the person holding the mortgage? Yeah, you can. Sure you can. Sure you can. You can have a different person on title, yeah, for the property than the person holding the mortgage. Sure you can. Sure you can. In what situation would that be? Can someone give me an example? So title is going to be, title is basically who owns the property. The mortgage is who's on the hook for the loan, right? You could absolutely do that. Someone else could hold the mortgage on a property for you. The title, though, the lien is registered to that property, right? The lien's registered to that property. That's how they're connected. So absolutely you could do that. Okay, let's go. Where are we? Okay. How did you come up with the counter offer? Really, it's a quick calculation of math, really based on income and the offer price that he gave me. But more than anything, what I was trying to do was think of a number that they would say no to. What were the two big things? Think of a number they'll say no to, and make sure the number is not a flat number, right? Those are the big things you got to worry about. Just think of a number they'll say no to. That's the biggest thing, and not a flat number, right? Because you're calculating. Now in this case, when you're doing that, you can't give an actual numbered offer. You don't know what your maximum offer price is on the property because you haven't run the numbers, right? So you don't know what that is. But at the same time, the property listed on MLS or for sale by owner, there's some truth to the value of that property, though we know that can be wrong. So we're looking to see how motivated the seller is, and just for you, just think let's think of a number they'll say no to, and let's think of a number. Let's make sure the number is not a flat number, right? The number is 568,342. That's what we want. The number to put it. Can I ask my realtor to do it? Some realtors even refuse Yeah, that's right, Mason. Yeah, they can refuse. Some realtors refuse. Now, technically, a realtor is not supposed to refuse any offer unless the seller has said, "I will not take any offer." You know, any offer below a certain price if they've been advised by the seller of certain parameters that they're looking at. Technically, realtors are doing that because they I guess don't want to be embarrassed. So the thing I'll say with this, when you're working with people, find the right people for the right thing, and pay some with somebody. You maybe find someone that's newer to the business, that's hungry, that that's willing to put out those offers. There's nothing wrong with putting out those offers. I mean, it's just a number. The seller doesn't have to agree to it. There's nothing wrong with it, Payson, but some realtors don't want to do it. So I think, Payson, you said you're shy to put it. That would be a good exercise to stretch yourself and feel a little embarrassed by putting out that offer. And really, I want everyone to understand the property value or price that's posted. That's for them. That's not for us, right? We have to protect ourselves, Payson. We can't go into a deal and create a problem for ourselves. We're not taking other people's problems for free. We're taking other people's solving other people's problems for a cost. And if that works for them, great. If it doesn't, we don't want the property. So this is why we run numbers. And sometimes the numbers cut too deep in our own calculation. That's when we say, look, the offer that we came up with is too small. I really don't want to do it. Maybe there's something else we can do. Maybe some creative financing. And if they ask us over, I'd like to, once or twice at least, well, what's the offer? Then you give it to them, you let them ask for it. But if the number's, on the lower end of the spectrum, if it's a distressed property, anything goes. Really, if it's a distressed property, anything goes. Can anybody tell me why distressed properties are different than more of a retail setting? Why is distressed properties different? Why can we be aggressive in our pricing? And it's typically, that's the reality. It's something we can do. They're typically motivated sellers, yeah. Nobody wants them, yeah. Yeah. Possibly no realtor fees. Yeah, really, Rodney's got it. And all those are right. But one of the big things is the house needs repairs, which means the house needs money. So if we have to put money into a property before we can take a dollar out, that gives us some leeway, a flexibility on how aggressive we want to be with that property, right? The pricing, because they're not selling you a house that people can live in, right? There's a problem with it, right? So if you can't produce income from it, then you have a right to say, well, look, I need to be a little aggressive with the pricing because I have to put dollars in, and there's time that's going to pass. Because when you do that, there's no income on this property. There's no income typically on these types of properties. So there's nothing wrong with saying, look, the business, this property is not going to make me money for 90 days, plus the money I got to put in. I have to take that into account. Carrying costs of things, that's where the price is coming from. When it comes more to a retail or a property that's close to retail like setting, this is where MLS comes in. When you're aggressive with MLS, pricing, you're looking at a property and the MLS property it's listed and you want to be aggressive with that pricing, you got to be a little bit careful because, and this is why MLS, we're probably not going to find a lot of opportunities. We can build relationships with realtors for sure, but you got to take into account the properties in a retail state. Typically, there's nothing wrong with the house, or very little wrong with the house if it's on MLS. Typically, not always. We got to do our due diligence. So, that's why they get kind of antsy when you talk about discounting the property. When we're talking about properties that are not in retail condition, anything goes. Let's be honest. It has to be fixed up, or money has to be put into the property for us to be able to start producing income, typically, income from it. So it's okay for us to say that. It's okay for us to say, this is why. No, this is why I need to come on with this price, okay? Let me see. Make sure. Can you send your files and go over them at some point on the phone? What do you mean by that? The seller? Can we send your files and go over them at some point with the phone? Do you mean sell it to the seller? Send them a file of ink, like the income and expense sheet, the calculation. Is that what you mean? Okay. Sorry, I'm just going through these. I don't want to miss anything. Okay. Okay, so can we review the sheet with you? We did multiple sheets for the numbers. Review them with you if you have time to try to understand the cash flow sheet. Sure you can. Sure you can. Anybody wants to send me a cash flow sheet, we can post it. I love doing them on the calls. So I'm fine. If somebody wants to send me a sheet, absolutely. Let's do it on the call together. And you can walk through it and everybody can learn from that experience. I'm all over that. I love doing that. So sure, send me one of them and we'll use it on the call. You know, as long as you're okay with that. I can take the address out and we can walk through it and we can I can explain what we see. Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Please. You know. That's how we learn. And believe me, when you send me those sheets, and a few of you know this that have done it with me, I mean, after we've done it a few times or we've done it on the call, you learn quickly. I mean, you start to realize what's an opportunity, what's not. And what you'll find is most are not opportunities. But that's okay. It only took you 5 minutes or 10 minutes to review it, the opportunity. And that's really where the training comes in, and understanding comes in, is right away. That's a big part of it. You know right away where to put your time or where to not put your time in, and you don't want to put your time on properties that the numbers don't make sense. That's why I don't think it's, as a rule, and I mean there's exceptions to every rule, that you don't look at a property till you run the numbers. There's really not, unless there's another reason motivating you to do it or that's something you love to do. I would rather you run the numbers first and see if there's an opportunity first before you start investing more time. And the numbers is kind of the first point of contact to validate that. Okay. Okay, see some people typing. Give me a chance to ask some more questions. Okay, while that's being typed out, I don't think there is more that I can see some people typing. Maybe you have words in the box and it's not seeing that. So I'm going to bring up something. Sierra, you want me to talk a little bit about something you're working on right now? Is that what you like to do? I'm looking for an investor to join my partner and I for the purchase of Gatineau. Do you have any tips on how to approach them? Okay. Yeah. Okay, Sierra, just give me 1 second. Let me answer that question. So this is the key that I can tell you initially for talking to investors. Okay. So if it's someone who hasn't invested before, who has no experience, middle working class, typically, the main thing you want to approach them with is protection. You have an opportunity. This is how you're protected, and wait for them to start asking and inquiring about profitability. Because if you lead with profitability, sometimes that puts people off that have never experienced investing, and they get nervous. So if you come up to them and say, "Look, I have an opportunity. You can make 20%, or even 10%. To be honest, is for a lot of people in middle working class, have never seen 10%. That sounds crazy to them, and they think it's dangerous. So, when you're dealing with those kind of individuals, talk about protection before profit. When you're dealing with an investor, just lead with profit. Lead with profit, and then talk about the opportunity. And the key is this: when you're dealing with middle working class people, they're gonna believe you're gonna protect them. They're used to other people taking responsibility for their finances. Advisors, their income is coming from a job, a boss. So when they're talking to you, you need to establish, that because they come from a place where they're being protected. Often that's the relationship they have with money. Someone else is taking care of it, protecting them, or that's their belief. you want them to know that you'll work them through the deal, and you want them to go see their lawyer, and if their lawyer has any questions, if they don't have a lawyer, these are some people that you can do. Often you don't want to use the same lawyer that you have. That creates possible conflicts of interest, which they can sign off on, but I would rather they seek their own legal advice. But let them know that how they're protected, and in what way they're going to be protected, and the property is going to be secure with their name. And this is all brand new for most people, so you want to be real slow and walk them through and make sure you answer their questions before you talk about profitability. This is what I would tell you. He's looking for collateral, which I don't necessarily, but knows my deal is good. Let's see what this says. For my case, investors seem experienced and only lend money. For my case, my investor seems experienced, do you mean? And only lend money. He's looking for collateral. He's looking for collateral, which I don't necessarily have, but knows that my deal is good. He's looking for collateral for the loan. He's looking for collateral for the loan. So I would. So a couple things I'll say. First, okay, about investors and lending. Okay, there's people. There's a good chunk of people on the call today. 30 plus of you. Okay, all over Canada, and some of you have capital. And if you're interested in being a lender or partner on a deal, I would suggest letting people know. I really would, because then it doubles your effort, right? Someone else is looking for properties while you're looking for properties, and you're the one with capital. So it's a lot easier. If you have the capital and there's an opportunity, you want to be able to take advantage of that. So anybody who's anybody who would like to be an investor, the cash portion of the deal, and partner up with someone, anybody who has access to capital, let the group know. Is my feeling. You don't have to do that. It's totally up to you. But it's partnerships are great when they're done properly. Obviously, we got to get legal consultation, making sure we set that up. But yeah. Okay, there you go, Peter, right there. I'm interested in hearing about opportunities. I want you guys, folks, to recognize this forum here is an opportunity to start, talking to each other. Well, anybody who wants, okay, so let's do this. Let's pause for a second, okay? Anybody who has access to their own money or someone else's money, they know they can get the capital, that's not a problem, and they would like to look at opportunities, please put I'm interested now. Okay, so Jan said that, and Peter said that from Vancouver. Wayne. Okay, so, okay, slow down, stop. Okay. Good. Look at all this. These are people with capital. So just making sure you have capital or access to capital. I need to make that clear, okay? Because this is the assumption, right? That you have that, and you're willing that you're willing to partner up on deals. You're open to being the investor or partnering up on deals, okay? So look at all these individuals that are interested. So this is what I'm going to do. Stop. Nobody type. Stop typing for a second, okay? So, okay, Emily's email's there. Anybody who wants to take it, I'm sure that's why Emily put it up there. So she's somebody who's interested in looking at deals, okay? If you have a deal, she's looking at partnership and investing. There you go. We have Payson. Great. Excellent. We have Peter. Those are 3 emails right there, okay? Okay, anybody who's okay with putting up their email? We have another one. Dave. Excellent, Dave. Good. Dave's email is up there. John's email is up there. Okay, I want to make it clear. You have access to capital or your own or someone else's, but you have access, okay? Because the individuals are going to look at you, reach out to you, and say, look, I got an opportunity here, and they're going to make the assumption that you have access to capital. So please, if you have access, if you don't worry about it. That's the other side of that transaction. So these are individuals. Okay, stop typing. Let people grab these emails. Let them grab their emails. Okay. Then grab their emails. I believe that I'm going to edit this recording, ladies and gentlemen, to take out those emails for the recording, okay? I'm gonna clear out the chat box names. I don't want anybody's email up there. Okay? Yeah, for sure. I don't want to post that with all those emails. So, okay. Is there anybody else that wants to throw their email up? You have capital. You have access to capital. You're interested in partnership. Anybody else? There's a lot of names already. Excellent. Anybody else? If you don't, that's okay. If you don't have the capital, you're working on the other end of it. That's great. Don't worry about it. It works. Finding a deal, as far as I'm concerned, finding a deal is more important than the money. But this is great to have somebody that you can partner up with that's the same mentality of you. That's huge. Can you post your website, Justin? Go ahead. And Justin, the website, primarily, what's the focus? Rent own? Yeah, thought so. Okay. Yeah, good, Justin, good. Now, anybody, you have this resource, and it's you yourselves, your group all across Canada. On this call, we have people in Vancouver, Ontario, Winnipeg, and Alberta. Manitoba, Ontario. Take advantage. Good, excellent. See, I love seeing that. That gets me excited. Excellent. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Oh, wait. I was going to talk about Sierra's deal, okay, and Wilbur's, okay. So they're looking at a property right now, and what city is that property in? Sierra, what city is that property in? Vincent, okay. So the property is a single-family home, and Sierra, jump in if I say something that's incorrect, please. So they're looking at a property. The guy is recently divorced, has 2 kids, was going to default on the mortgage and go back to his home country because he was concerned about his credit being damaged. Obviously, he was literally going to the bank to drop off the keys when Wilbur had a chance to talk to him. And that lead actually came from their lawyer, right, Sierra? That came from the lawyer, Wilbur? Right? They were just saying, look, if anybody's going into foreclosure, pre-foreclosure, maybe we can help. And that was how the lead happened. So that tells you, always ask. There's, you can ask and find out if there's opportunities there. So Wilbur jumped on it, talked to the guy and asked him, what his situation was. And his property was purchased for, what was it, 300, was it, Sierra, 355? Is that right? Yeah, 355. So it was purchased for 355. He's got a mortgage of 305, right? And is that right? 305 is the mortgage, yeah. Or sorry, 313. 313, you found it? Okay, 313. The property's value is you just converted it today, good. 313. The value of the property is what? 315, 325. What the realtor give you? 315 to 322. 315 to 322, okay? And after Wilbur had a conversation with them, and Sierra, I don't know if you had a chance to talk to him too today, the gentleman is willing to work with them to possibly avoid the foreclosure, and on top of it, said that if the foreclosure doesn't go through, they would like to, they wouldn't mind. He's going to stay in the country. He's going to stay in Canada, and obviously he would need somewhere to live. So there might be an opportunity to rent something to have. Now, where we're at with that is we're looking to control the property. Now, Sierra was asking me about agreement of sale versus a offer to purchase. And Sierra, did you get a chance? Have you looked over an agreement of sale? So just so we're clear, agreement of sale or offer to purchase are interchangeable. I've heard many people use that interchangeably. They're both contracts. The Those are just names associated with them. You can put anything you want in these contracts, that you want. There's you just want to make sure that your lawyer looks it over, and as the seller or buyer in this case should have their lawyer look it over, and the agreement is the agreement. So so they don't have the protection you're looking for. We want power of attorney to protect ourselves. So here it is. The agreement of sale is something that's used to do something similar to a wrap mortgage, which is that you take possession of the property. You don't take possession of the property. You take control of the property. The seller owns the property still. You're responsible for taxes and responsible for your insurance of the property. Of course, this can be written any way you want, really, to tell you the truth. And the seller remains on the mortgage. Now, the outstanding mortgage is paid. It's paid through you to the seller, and the seller pays it to the bank, right? Some people will use this as a way of creative financing. It's similar to a VTB. It doesn't have to be a VTB, vendor financing, because if the person has no equity in the property or little equity in the property, there's no real vendor financing portion of it. It's more the wrap mortgage kind of thing. Because when the property, many mortgages, when you sell a property, there's a demand on the loan. So if the property changes title, the property, whoever owes money has to pay it, right? They can't carry it over. That's on the purchase, right? So if you sell the house, there's a demand on the loan that you have to pay it when you sell the house. So wrap mortgages is something that they use in parts of the U.S. In Canada, we do have mortgages. Our mortgages, many of them are assumable or portable. In this case, assumability is the option there where you can assume a mortgage. That being said, you would still have to, with most institutions, qualify for that mortgage. So in this case, the agreement of sale, for the sake of having the seller hold the property, Sierra and Wilbur, I don't know if he can do that and still do what he wants to do. That being said, any sort of agreement of sale or offer to purchase with this kind of arrangement, you definitely want to seek out legal guidance on that. So, and make sure that you're doing it properly. No, so yeah, Dave, many of them will want you to qualify for the assumable mortgage, which makes sense when you think of it, because if you assume the mortgage and you can't cover the mortgage, then that's going to be a problem, right? Well, the assuming mortgages or portability of a mortgage, that's in the mortgage document. It's a trade in the mortgage in your mortgage. And there's nothing wrong with the qualification portion of it. That's not a big deal, and it doesn't make sense for a lender to allow you to assume a mortgage without any kind of qualification. That's quite dangerous, you would think, for the lender. So, regardless, either or is possible. It's really about the mortgage contract that's been given to you by the lender, right? Anything's possible in those contracts, as long as they're not breaking the law, obviously. But assumability, portability, the terms of assumability and portability, all of that stuff, is going to be in your agreement. It's going to be in your agreement. So, when you're looking at can I do that or should I do that, and there's some advantages to that, because you don't have to necessarily break a mortgage if it's assumed. Good for the seller. If they're breaking the term of the mortgage, there's an opportunity possibly to avoid that and the penalties associated with that, and that could go to purchase price. So there's lots you can do with those opportunities, and this is why you want to work with someone who gets it. A mortgage broker and or advisor that works with real estate and understands that stuff. So now we have to qualify. I thought we were different, but we're back in 05. I thought that we were different, but that was back in 05. Okay. Okay. All right. I think you mean, Dave. You mean the rule change was, or the change contracts were changed. They changed in 05. Is that what you mean? In 05 they were a little different. The assumable mortgage. Is that what you mean? Okay, so I'll let you answer that. So Sierra and Wilbur. So the property, regardless, an offer to purchase contract with this person is fine. With this seller is fine. We could do 90 days offer to purchase. We talked about this. And remember, the seller in this case, I didn't mention it, but the seller in case wants to stop paying the mortgage. They want to stop. Now, if you put an offer to purchase on a contract, if that person's paying their mortgage or not, that's not going to have effect on you. It could have effect in the purchase of the price, but they decide how they're going to manage their finances. So we can still put an offer to purchase on the contract, and if this guy decides to stop paying his mortgage, he's going to receive a letter, from a demand letter, or a letter from the bank saying, look, you're behind on your mortgage. You need to pay your mortgage, and that might last 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, depending on where you are in the institution and their needs. So during that process, you could still have an offer to purchase on that contract. For sure, you could. And if he wishes to default, and obviously it's going to follow rules and regulations of the relationship and the agreement that he's made with the bank. So we can still put Sierra an offer to purchase on this property. We can still do that. Well, let's do this, Sierra. This is what I want you to do, okay? I want you to go see an attorney and tell them what you want to do. And this guy, the power of attorney, this guy has to give you that over that property. You can't just take it away from him. So go see a lawyer and tell him what you want to do, and see what he puts together for you. And if you want, you can definitely swing up. Let me take a look at that too. Okay. If you have power of attorney to the property, it's basically you control the property. Yeah, we have. It's just costly. Costly to talk to a lawyer about this? Is that what you mean, Sierra? There are a lot? Okay. Okay. Protection is important. I don't know what your lawyer fees are, but protection is pretty important. So, it is a creative strategy. That's right. Let's hear it. But this if this person has never done one before, then it's not probably somebody you want to work with. Lawyer gets paid on hourly rate. Sure they do. Most lawyers, I should say. Sure they do. Most lawyers do. But Sierra, if you're looking for lawyers, very good. Okay, good. I don't want to sway you away from somebody you like. Yeah, okay. So if he's he understands that stuff and he knows what to do, then that should be coming into play. If something brand new to a lawyer, I can imagine that it could cost a little bit more. Well, that you could see that might be challenges. He says he's done over 1,000 AFs. So most real estate lawyers are used to retail. Absolutely. So Sierra, if he's done over 1,000 of them, this sounds like the guy you want to talk to. The cost of making sure you do this right. You have to justify that over the profitability of the opportunity. So Sierra, if you don't want to do, you don't want to go that route right now with the AFS deal, then do an offer to purchase to control the property. Initially, that's something that, and I don't know with this lawyer, should cost you considerably less to review, at least. Most real estate lawyers are used to retail. Yeah, you want to work with someone who has worked with investors before, definitely. What about financing then? We want the seller to do seller financing. Yeah, I'm not sure I understand, Sierra. Did someone tell you that you couldn't do that in an offer to purchase, that you can't ask for a VTB? Because that's not true. You can ask for a VTB and offer to purchase. That's just a contract. You can ask for anything. So there's no restriction on what you can do in an offer to purchase. Do you know what I mean, Sarah? Is that, did someone tell you can't put that in an offer to purchase? Well, the VTB portion of it, yeah, you still have to qualify for a mortgage or seek outside investing. But Sarah, this is the thing. This is the thing. At the end of the day, yeah, you don't. But there's different steps involved. You're taking possession of the property. You're controlling the property. My apologies, without possession. So either or, approach before any of that can be established. We have to make sure there's profitability. What are we going to do with the property, and how are we going to make money, right? And then the approach that you take, will absolutely be important. There's no question. But at this point, have we established how we're going to make money on this property? And it's here. You also mentioned that there was a possible investor that you were working with. Yes. Possible, right? So this is the other thing, Sierra and Wilbur. Look, there's a ton of emails up there, a ton of people that are interested in becoming investors and partners. There's opportunity there. Okay, so let's open up everybody. Let's open up the opportunity to let other people do business with us and deals with us. Let's all make money while others are making money with us. So Sierra and Wilbur, I think there was a great list there of people that might be open to getting involved if the deal makes sense for them. Okay. Cool. Excellent. Okay. Stephanie, you want to say something? Stephanie, am I missing it? There's 2 dots there. Does that mean something? No? Okay. Stephanie, is there something you want to share or say? And it's not going through, or maybe? I see 2 dots and then stop. Okay, you let me know. Anyways, what I want to do is look at some give me 1 second. Let's get rid of. Okay, we can hold on to that. Let's open up that. Okay, so let's look at some clauses. Okay, let's do that. All right, let's share. Okay. Any other questions? No, we're good? Okay, if everybody's good, type in yes. Just to make sure you guys can all hear me still. Okay, good. Yeah, all right. Excellent. Okay, all right. Let's look over some clauses, okay? Did you see the little deal I sent you? Yep. Let me see. I'll look that over. I'm going to bring up share, and then we'll look at that. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Meeting. One second. Share. Okay. So these clauses are actually from a contract. I've taken all the other information out. The clauses are the most important. Some of them will seem redundant. We can talk about them as we go through them, and some advantages that are there with the way these clauses are written. Okay. Share the screen. Okay. Let's share. Okay. All right. Let's do this. Let's do this. Oops, that's too big. Can everybody see that? Yeah, everybody see that? Okay. Okay, so let's read over this. The offer is conditional upon inspection of subject property by the buyer and the buyer's building inspector by the buyer's own expense, and obtaining a written report satisfactory to buyer at its sole and absolute discretion, by failing which this offer shall be null and void, and the deposit shall be returned to the buyer with full and without deduction. Okay, we see that? Yes? Everybody's clear on that one? Big thing is, yeah, the big thing is, the return to the buyer without full deposit, and obviously that we're paying for the inspection. That's all we're saying. The offer is conditional upon the buyer arranging in his own specs satisfactory insurance coverage to him or her of said property on January 19, 2018, failing which this offer shall be null and void, and the deposit shall return to the buyer with full without deduction. Right? Make sense? Okay, nothing there? Yeah, exactly. There is no time frame. There is no time frame on the inspection, which means what? What does that mean, Karen? You're absolutely right. There's no time frame. So if there's no time frame on this condition or any condition like this, what does that mean? What does that mean technically? What does it mean? Who can tell me? If there's no condition, there's no date on that condition, what does it mean? Yeah, we have control up until the purchase, right? Until the closing date, basically. We can say no up until the closing date, right? Favorable to the buyer, huge to the buyer. There's no end. Yeah, there's no end date. There's no end date. So the inspection, and this is where someone could come back and say, well, we need an end date, right? But this, the way it's written, it's absolutely for the benefit of us, for sure. There's no question. There's no question, because you can literally go to the closing date, you know, and we can say no. Same thing with the okay, so this one has January 9th, this 19th. That one would be the date. The offer is conditional upon approval of the terms hereinafter by the buyer's partner, solicitor. The seller agrees to spend significant time with the buyer to train the buyer on all operational aspects of the building as a mutually agreed upon time. So basically, we need our partner and our solicitor to agree to this. Anybody see anything interesting about this one? Yeah, that's right. That's right. But Karen, you can write this like this, and they can tell you if they want those dates put in. They can say that. This condition right here also has what, Karen? No time frame. No time frame. So technically, I can, I could say my solicitor didn't like the deal. That's an exit. My partner didn't like the deal. That's an exit. All right. So you could write it like this and wait for a response from the seller to give you, to say to you, hey, I want you to put a date on it, right? And if someone says they have a problem with the condition, what do we always say? What do we always say when someone says they have a problem with the condition? What do we say? Real simple. That particular, in this contract, the insurance has a date on it. You can put a date on any one of these. The point being is, if there's a date, there's a date. Absolutely. If there's not a date, you're not doing anything wrong or illegal. It's not like you're committing a crime of some sort by not putting a date. Can they come back to you and say, we need a date? Sure they can. But if they let any one of these clauses move forward with no date, then you have some advantages, for sure. So yeah, so someone says to you, hey, I have a problem with this clause. We always say why. We just say why. What's the problem with the clause? Well, how long is it going to take you to talk to your solicitor and partner? It's going to take me 5 business days. Okay, no problem. We're going to put 5 business days in. No problem. There's nothing wrong with finding what the problem is with them, and then letting them know. Okay, and letting them know we can adjust. The seller agrees to discharge all mortgage liens and encumbrances against the register of the property, their own expense there before the date of closing. Parties agree to purchase price includes all prepaid items. The seller agrees that any of the representations and warranty associated with the offer shall survive and not merge for a period of 2 years from the date of the closing. Now this particular one, what is this saying? Does anybody what is this saying? Anybody see what this is? The seller agrees to discharge all mortgage liens and encumbrances that may now be registered against the property at their own expense on or before the date of closing. So the seller has to get rid of this stuff, right? Anything that's attached to this property, the title, Stephanie, exactly what we would think the title would be clear. The parties agree that the purchase price includes all prepaid items. So basically, clear title. We agree, what we agree on, the sale, the price. Sell the property, sell the property, we get the property. The seller agrees that any and all representations and warranties associated with the offer shall survive and not merge for a period of 2 years from the date of closing the transaction. That means this guy's on the hook for 2 years, the seller. On 2 years. If something pops up out of the blue, we can go back to the seller and challenge. And have them responsible for it. That's a pretty big deal. Does everybody understand that? They're on the hook for 2 years. Does everybody understand that? Yeah. Yeah, they're on the hook for 2 years. If something pops up out of the blue in 2 years, you're on the hook for it. We're going to challenge. If there's a cost associated with it, we're going to challenge, right? Something, maybe a lien or something. So anything. Could be anything. A lien, or it could be something didn't meet code on the property. It could be anything. It's do you do this mainly with condos? No, you can do this for a single family, any property. You can put that in for any property. You can put that for any property. Any of these, when the buyer's lawyer catch that during this title search? Yeah, well, you mean catch that during title search? You mean anything outstanding? Kathy, is that what you mean? Yeah, the title search should pick up everything. Yeah, absolutely, it should pick up anything. This is additional protection. If anything, environmental, it could be anything. I couldn't even imagine. It could be something where they didn't meet code on a addition to the house, and there's some sort of cost because it wasn't done right. So this is what I'm going to say, John. This is what I'm going to say. Okay. So what I'm going to do is this with everybody, when passing on contracts and agreements. The big thing is, contractor's lien could pop up. Something, a lawyer's lien could pop up. Who knows, right? They didn't do a permit. They didn't have a permit, or they had a permit and it's outstanding. Who knows? I really couldn't. It could be something. This is what I promise you, okay? And I know I want to give this to you, but this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring my lawyer on next week. He's going to come on, and we're going to go through these clauses with him, okay? And then, so there's clear understanding between both of us what it is, and what these things mean, that even then, I want you to still go to your lawyer. Does everybody understand that? You understand that, right? You need to go to your lawyer. Yes, this is so important. You need to protect yourself, okay? Good. All right, let's continue. All right, Ed will be on the call next week, and he'll walk through these again with us and tell us the advantages of it. Where did I go? I missed these other ones here. Let's go. Okay, here we go. Okay, let me read that. Okay, the offer is conditioned upon the buyer being satisfied with the statements of income and expense, which the seller agrees to provide within 5 business days of acceptance of this offer for the period of 2015 to 17 to date, including rent receipts for each apartment to verify what the tenants are paying monthly, tax, insurance, hydro, gas, water bill for the same period, as well as receipts for any other expenses and improvements to the property that will also be provided. So, do you see what this says? Sorry about that. The offer is conditional upon the buyer being satisfied with the statements of income and expenses. What do you notice about this? What do you notice about this? You can tell me. Okay, dated. Yeah, but what does it say? It says he needs to, or she needs to provide within 5 business days. But how long do we have to decide whether we're satisfied? Is there a date there? There's no deadline, no time frame. That's right, there's no time frame. When you're sending that information over, if there's no date that says you need to waive this condition and say we fulfilled that and the time period's over for that condition, then that agreement that could last to close it. And I was talking to my lawyer, and some of these he said, obviously a judge would look at what's reasonable, but someone could argue even beyond that. So that's why I don't want to speak for him or speak for the extent of what these go. That's why I want. What's that? Why is that? Why do you say that, Rodney? Why are you saying that? This is not sneaky. Oh no. I'd counter offer at the seller's realtor big time. Everything's negotiable. Look, it needs to be vetted by the seller. Look, we're not, just so we're clear. Look, we don't want a property that doesn't make money. Can we all agree on that? Yes? We need to vet a property. That's what we're doing here. We're vetting a property. Obviously, if the property is what they say it is, if the numbers are real, and we've done the numbers, that's all we want. We want the ability to make sure that we take this property on and we can profit from it. We don't hide that we're buying properties and controlling properties more specifically to make money. So, for me, this is not a problem. You could put them in. None of these are really deal breakers unless they're trying to wipe out all exits. But the sellers should be open to us vetting the property to make sure it is. Can the sellers say, well, you need to put time frames on some of these conditions? Sure they can. We're not going to say no to them, right? What we're trying to do is make sure up until the closing date, or as close to the closing date, we have the opportunity to vet the property. That's all. Okay, so it's as sneaky as every other terms of agreement we agree online and upon. Yeah, that's awesome. I don't want you to think this is sneaky, please. I don't want you. What do we say? What do we say to everybody that we get in business with? You should go what? You should let your lawyer see this. You should go to your lawyer. Yeah, we're not hiding anything. Yeah, see a pro. We're not hiding anything. We're telling them, go see a lawyer. This is not what we're trying to do. We just want the opportunity to vet the property and make sure that it's something that fits into our portfolio. If it doesn't, we'll release, we're out. But we have to have that opportunity, right? This is not retail market, ladies and gentlemen. We're not trying to buy a retail property to live in. This is investing. This is us making sure that we're profitable. Okay. This offer is conditional upon the buyer being satisfied with all the information pertaining to the tenants, including copies of the lease, names, units occupied, monthly rent, due date, amount, any pre-rate rent that was paid, any arrears in rent, which information the seller agrees to provide within 5 business days of acceptance of the offer. The seller agrees to also provide the buyer with the acknowledgement of tenant, signed by each tenant outlining the key terms and conditions of their tenancy. The buyer has the right to request of any tenant to verify the above information. So basically we're saying, is that this offer is conditional upon the buyer being satisfied. Again, you got to give it to us in 5 days. We need to be satisfied with it. Again, no date to waive this condition. No date to waive this condition. Also, the buyer has the right to request of any tenant to verify the above information. We have the right to reach out to these tenants and ask them for confirmation of any of this information. So the tenant's deposit, prepaid rent. Prepaid amount of any prepaid rent to date that was paid, in any arrears in rent. Yeah, that should cover that. No problem, Payson. So deposits, right? Okay, the seller, no worries. The seller agrees to cooperate in providing access to the property for the purpose of viewing the property. Buyer reserves the right to show the property prior to closing to any and all prospective occupants or partners up until the closing date. Basically, right to show. We give them 24 hours notice. We get the right to show. Okay? The offer is conditional upon the inspection of the subject property by the buyer or the buyer's building inspector at the buyer's own expense, and obtaining written report satisfactory to the buyer at its sole and absolute discretion by January 19th, failing which the offer shall be null and void and the deposit shall be returned to the buyer in full without deduction. So this one does have a date, right? We're gonna get our an inspector and make sure that they do that, right? Okay. The offer is conditional upon the buyer arranging it. Okay, so look at this. The offer is conditional upon the buyer arranging at his own expense satisfactory insurance coverage. Oh, we did that one. Okay. The offer is conditional upon approval. We did that. Buyer's own expense. Here it is. The offer is conditional upon the buyer paying at his own expense satisfactory financing to him or her for them for the said property on and before the 30th, 2018, failing which the offer shall become null and void. The buyer's deposit shall be returned in full without interest or penalty. Now, what's interesting about this? Tell me. Anybody? What's interesting about this clause? How is it different than the standard one? Okay, why? Tell me why. Deposit comes back, yeah. There it is. Kathy got it, right? A couple of you. Yeah, you said it. The offer is conditional upon the buyer obtaining his own expense satisfactory financing to him or her or them for the said property on. So satisfactory financing. The financing has to meet our numbers. The financing has to be suited for us, right? You might even add this clause is for the sole benefit of the buyer. You could put that in there if you wanted. Just identify, we get it. This is for the sole. This is for the benefit of the buyer. There's no question, and we're not trying to hide that. We're letting them know. The seller. So if someone came to you and said, "Well, we need why not bank financing?" So if the numbers don't work and we can't do creative financing on this, we can't move forward. Just be honest. Be transparent. There's nothing. Don't hide anything. Somebody asks, tell them. Now here we go. The seller agrees to a vendor take back of $450,000, bearing the rate of 6% fixed interest only for 7-year term. A 30-year amortization of balloon payment in 7 years without the option to extend. With the option to extend for 5 years. There's the VTV right there. See, the seller agrees to vendor take back $450,000. So you can do VTV in any contract. Doesn't have to be any particular type of contact. Okay. The terms and conditions of the Schedule B shall prevail in the event of conflict. Now that would be in Schedule A too. Okay. Just read this one. This is very important. The terms and conditions of the Schedule B shall prevail in the event of conflict with the terms and conditions of the attached agreement of purchase sale. Does everybody see what that says? It says our clauses, the clauses in A and B, you would do one for A, would say, it says if there's a conflict, which clauses win? Which ones? Which clauses win? The ones in the schedule. This is important. Yeah, that's important, right? So by putting those additional clauses in there, you're pretty much, and obviously we're still always going to get legal, attention and advice. You're pretty much, it doesn't matter what the rest of it says. This stuff you can't change. This stuff there's no conflict. We need to agree. These things need to be agreed. No matter what, you cannot say that. Oh, in the beginning of the contract it says that you need bank financing. Doesn't matter. Schedule A says or Schedule B says, satisfactory, that's the one that has to be used. It says the terms and conditions of the schedule prevail in the event of conflict with terms and conditions of the attached agreement of purchase and sale. You basically, that's what you're saying. No, you can Schedule A, Schedule B, doesn't matter. Just Schedule A, it's just an addition. It's an addition to the contract. So you would still put that, Sarah, you would still put that, you make sure you put the right letter, obviously. This is Schedule A, and then you put the terms and conditions of Schedule B. So at the top of this, you don't see it now because I ripped everything out. You would say Schedule B right here. Say Schedule B at the top of this agreement. So you'd know that that's what they're talking about. And look, down here, they got to sign. Everyone's got to sign. Okay. The offer is conditional upon the buyer being satisfied with the statements of income, expense, seller. We already got that. Some of these clauses are redundant. They're in there. They're repeated. The seller represents the warranty substance of properties, past local fire inspection, environmental site assessment, zoning requirements, and all the units are legal. And the seller agrees to provide recent documentation within 5 business days of acceptance of the offer. Okay. The seller agrees to provide the buyer at his own expense within 5 business days of acceptance of this offer a new survey. So they're asking to provide a survey to the buyer. We're asking to ask them, give me a survey and show me that the property lines are real. The offer is conditional upon the buyer being satisfied with all the information pertaining to the tenants, including copies of the lease. That's basically a redundant one, but it's there. Okay, so the seller agrees to provide the buyer with an acknowledgement of tenants. Basically, that was covered somewhat in the other one, but the buyer has the right to request any tenant to verify the above information. We're just making sure the tenants are there, and that if he says he's getting this much money, he's getting this much money. And the tenant's been there for this period, and they signed a lease. Seller represents the warrants and the current liens, leases and rents lawful under the provision of any provincial act law. This is kind of important, right? I mean, you're saying, look, the leases that you have are, are provisions under a provincial law act. You haven't done anything unlawful. You have to commit to that fact. The seller agrees to deliver prior to the buyer closing with full occupancy of rental comparable to the higher to the rent charge for each unit at the time of the offer. If there are any vacancies, the rent is lower than the original declared, the seller will make up. Do you see this? seller will make up for 6 months of lost rents. The seller agrees to deliver the property to the buyer at closing with full occupancy and rent comparable or higher to the rent charged for each unit at the time of the offer. So somebody says to you, hey, my property's fully rented, these are the rents, this is what it's about, and you say, okay, great, well, this is it. Kathy, if they're saying it is, then we should say, yeah, okay, if you say it is, then we're going to say it has to be. That's what we're saying. All we're saying is it has to be. And if it's not, you agree to pay 6 months of lost rents. Because we got to put somebody in there now, right? We got to put somebody in there, right? So if somebody says to you that this is how many people they have, all we're saying in this thing is okay, we believe you. We believe you so much that we're going to put it in the agreement. You're going to sign off. You're going to basically sign off that's what it is. If you're saying you're getting these rents, you're on the hook. If you're not telling the truth, you're on the hook. The buyer shall have the right at any time prior to closing to assign within the offer or any persons or corporation, either existing or incorporated, with the buyer may designate a sole discretion upon such assignment. Herein, the name of the buyer shall be further liability. Okay, so basically, what is this? This is an assignment clause. This is it. This is an assignment clause. Okay, seller agrees to cooperate in providing access to the property first. We already did that one, 24 hours. I think we're done. It's this we started with. Yeah, we went through these again. Now you see these clauses. I know we ran 50 minutes over, so we're going to wrap up soon. But you see these clauses, the way they're set up and provisioned. Who are they protecting? They're protecting us. They're protecting us. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, well, Kathy, in this case, yeah, this is us. So is it okay that we write these clauses in this way? Yeah, absolutely. Is it okay that they come back and start asking for modifications? Sure. But some things we need in there. We have to protect. If they're telling us something's real, if the place is fully occupied, there should have no. If they come back to us and say we don't want to do this, you say, what do you mean you don't want to do this? You told me the property is fully occupied, but we don't want to sign off on that. Well, then we got a problem. Because you're telling me that the property, I'm basing the income on this property. The income numbers and everything on this property that's fully occupied. You told me the property is fully occupied. You showed me leases. If I walk into this property on day one and these leases aren't real or the people are not renting, that they're fully rented, based on what you told me, then we're going to have a recourse, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You're just holding these people to task. So you write your clauses to protect against what if the seller has said the property has very good and very custom per deal. Yeah, and some of these are pretty standard. Some of them, yeah, all you're doing is asking them to be that you believe them, and you believe them so much it's going to be in the contract. I think it's absolutely great, and there's nothing wrong with the clauses. Now, if they come back and say they want to modify them, we do them. Yeah, exactly. You're just saying, look, if you say this is what it is, this is what it is. Now, this kind of agreement allows you to really be, away from that property. You don't have to be from that. You don't have to see necessarily the property. And if you wish, if you want to see it, you see it. But I mean, these are the things the person's saying to you. You still want your power team inspection done. You want all these things done. Don't get me wrong. You want all these things done. But, is it possible that someone could deceive you? Yes, it is. Who's accountable for that deception? Well, obviously, they should be accountable for the deception. But what we do is we make sure that what they're telling us is real. We do the vetting process, but we also make sure that the clauses echo what this individual has been saying to us. That's all. Yeah, exactly, Rodney. They might come back and say, I don't want this. And it's like, well, why? They always ask why. Well, why? You told me that the leases were all 1-year leases. Yeah, but we don't want it. We don't want to agree to that. And it's like, well, are they not all 1-year leases? Because if they're not, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. And what does that create? Well, that creates an opportunity to further negotiate. None of these things necessarily going to kill the deal, but we definitely want to make sure that we're protected. And this is what happens when you do it the right way, right? That this is what we want to avoid problems. Yeah, that's good. That's good. You should feel safe when you're doing real estate. Yes, you should feel safe and protected. and these are the things that that we want. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to wrap up. I'm going to bring Adnan on the call next week, and he'll go through these clauses again. You can ask, and then at that time, you will all agree to seek legal attention and advice, and we'll let you have a copy of this. Okay? Is that good? I started to worry when I am the seller. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, no worries. Okay, so a couple big things that we did today that I think were important. Obviously, was going over these clauses, which was great. I wanted you to see an opportunity to review that stuff. But also, let's not forget those individuals that were saying, look, I'm looking for property too. I'm interested. I have some money. Maybe we can get in partnership. I think that was a huge gift this week. That we want to take advantage of. If you do have opportunities, those people said that they were looking for them. I think it's wonderful that we're doing that for each other, and recognizing that the greatest advantage we have is the relationships we have. Your network is your net worth, they say. So take advantage. Okay. Yeah, Dave, I'm gonna give everyone a copy next week. Everyone will get a copy next week. I just want Adnan on the call to review those clauses again. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Any other questions before we wrap up? Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure, folks. My pleasure. My pleasure. My pleasure, John. Okay. So let's do this. Okay. So the recording's gonna go up. My apologies for the delay of the last one. This one will go up in a couple days. I'm gonna make sure that the names are not. So you're not going to see the names. I might have to wipe out the questions too. I just want to make sure that those emails don't go up. Okay, so I promise everybody we're not going to see those. You're not going to see anybody's email. Okay, so don't worry about that. I want that blocked. Unfortunately, if you weren't on the call, maybe we'll do it another time. I don't want people to see those emails in any way, shape, or form. Okay. All right. So yeah, send me the send me the email about the access. I'll forward it. And anybody else? Anything else? We're good? If you're good, type in yes or Y. We're good. Excellent. Great group tonight. We covered a lot, and next week we'll do some more. Thank you very much for making it on Tuesday. Keep coming to these Tuesday calls. Keep you motivated. Keep you moving forward, and we'll get and achieve our goals. Okay? All right. My pleasure. All right, folks. We'll see you next week.